All right, everyone, welcome back to the Lookout. It's a two-stream kind of day. We had quite a bit of fire action in Northern California, and we didn't really want to mix the NorCal and SoCal fires, so we're doing this special report on the Madre. The Madre, I'm going to not say anything in Spanish about the Madre Fire. I'm just going to show you our Lookout sponsors real quick to get started here. QTAC makes great small fire engine accessories. WaterAxe makes great fire pumps. And Firebox makes attachments for skid steers that are great for prescribed burning, firefighting, and land management. So we thank our sponsors. Madre's interesting fire. She's pretty big, probably over 80 or 90,000 acres at this point. And we haven't had any mapping updates since about 2 o'clock. But we're going to check it out and talk a little bit about what the fire is doing, what it's likely to do, and some of the tools we have for understanding it. So our favorite satellite flew over today. It's called Sentinel. It's a European Space Agency satellite. It goes over once every 5 days. So if it goes over during your fire, you're in luck. And it has lots of different kind of it scans on lots of different bands. So here we're looking at infrared bands that are showing the burned area versus unburned area. And you can see heat in here is kind of the bright pink. So this fire got mapped at 11 o'clock by OES with their FIRIS ship. And to give you a little bigger picture, we've got Santa Maria here, Cuyama, New Cuyama out here, Maricopa, Button Willow, Morro Bay. A little farther south, you got Los Olivos, Santa Barbara. So it's kind of out here to the west of the Carrizo Plain. Carrizo Plain's this next valley over here. All right. So the nice thing about this image is it captured at noon, and they mapped the fire well at 11. So the blue line is 11 a.m. and the bright reddish colors are at noon. So you can see where we'll start at the north top corner of the fire here on 166, kind of north of Carrizo Canyon. And you can see that there's no growth between 11 and 12, anywhere you see the bright kind of turquoise on the edge of the colored image. Fire was outside of the line here a little bit as we head out towards Branch Mountain Road. And let's just see if we can get a little better landmarks here, exactly where this was happening. And turn on topo map. So this is kind of west of Gilman Spring, and east of Gypsum Canyon is where this little spillover was. If you know this area well, it looks like there's Sycamore Ridge, Gypsum Canyon, and kind of south of Sulphur Spring and Tahia Spring. So this is, we know not a lot of people are super familiar with this area. Fire at noon hadn't got to Branch Mountain Road. And you can see, so the fire was most active on this northeast corner. We have some satellite heat data from around the same time, and it doesn't really add a whole lot to the story. We just know that this was the kind of active part of the fire today. As we were talking about yesterday, kind of from Chimeneas Ranch all the way over here to Wells Ranch, this whole side of the fire is pretty tied up. And a good way to see that today was to look at the webcams. So this is the webcam from La Panza. This is looking from the north. Let's look at it from McKittrick Summit. So we'll just play 12-hour loop here. So this is that whole east side of the fire that we were talking about that looked like it was pretty much pretty wrapped yesterday afternoon. It's cold, you don't see any real heat out there, just smoke from the interior, and then later in the day they pan over. And so what I did is I looked at kind of as far out here at sunset at 9 o'clock as I could get, and I got a bearing there off this lookout. So that's 248 degrees. So if we come back into our CalTopo program, I just ran a bearing shot off that camera, and it shows you that the fire hadn't progressed very much farther out from where it was at noon, all in all. If we're assuming that right now the fire hasn't crossed that red line. So if we compare that to where it was on this image at noon, it moved maybe another, I don't know, maybe half mile. Yeah, not a half mile. All right. So that's what we know about this this northern corner, is that it hadn't quite, as far as we can tell, hasn't. It's close to Branch Mountain Road, but as far as we can tell, we don't know if it's crossed it, but it's close to there. This whole side of the fire coming around the east is pretty much cold, and then the most active part, other than that northern corner, is Caliente Mountain. And you can see that the fire had grown, a quarter mile or so in the hour between 11 and 12, which was kind of the last good intel we had. Interesting thing that shows up on this Leonza camera is around 6:30 p.m. It looks like there was a big firing operation. Like if you look at we watched through the afternoon, you see that the fire kind of shoots way out here, right here. And so basically, I think what you can see there is you can see the ignition people dragging fire along a line, like they put in a dozer line or something. But if you see how quickly, you can actually see, like out here, the fresh smoke of the firing team. So they got the dozer line in, they send out some folks to light it with engines to back them up. They light it, and then the fire's done there. So that's how you fight big fire in grassland country, is with firing operations. So it's also kind of fun when the webcams capture that kind of tactical level. This is kind of the heat we're seeing here as it's getting dark, is out at about 101 degrees from McKittrick, from Leonza. So maybe we'll see if we can find that Leonza. All right, so that camera was looking at the firing operation out here. So sometimes it's nice if we can kind of triangulate. Basically, Leonza is showing heat at 102 degrees. So when you guys come on here, sometimes you got to bear with us as we do this real time. Looking for our webcam tower. So that would put the fire quite a bit farther north, if that's right. We're gonna have to check on that and get back to you guys. I don't know if the camera's on Leonza summit. I'm thinking it's not that far north. But anyway, that's basic as what we got, and you can see on the weather satellites here that the winds were kind of coming from all over the place today, but the winds were favorable in the evening coming down this way for them to fire that north part. And the wind's been pretty favorable throughout the day for them to not have. It's good that they've kind of already fired the road. This whole side of the fire is fairly secure. So also what's interesting is to see that this whole kind of bite up in the bottom here was stable between 11 and 12. So I thought kind of worst case scenario they'd be firing the road all the way out, but it looks like they've been able to kind of connect the dots. And so from here over to here all looks pretty much like it didn't move much. So it's kind of north of Caliente Mountain. So as we were talking about before, like the boxes for these fires kind of get defined by where you have access. And on this fire, you got road access across down here, and the fire's, still several miles from there. Let's see if we can see the fire in here. Here we go. So it's about 4.5 miles from the road system, and as we've been thinking that would be probably where they tied this in. So the open question is what the fire's done since the mapping got done around noon today, if it crossed that road. Someone talked about the fire crossing San Diego Creek Road, and I haven't been able to find where that is. This is Padrones Canyon. So that doesn't, exactly look like a cakewalk for a firing operation. Just that it's so steep when you send your fire up there. If the winds are adverse, they can blow it back over you. But it's what they've got for access, and they do have another road system above there that's probably been pushed with dozers. So if they got favorable winds tonight, I wouldn't be surprised to see a firing operation across this road system. The only problem is that they've got kind of forecast for fairly strong north winds this evening, which are kind of not great adverse really for firing this road system. So I think this imagery really gives you a great kind of look at just how gnarly this terrain is, and why these fires get big is you need time to prep a line, and you're not going to get it done in country like this with a fire blowing at you. Anthony Bracey says he's going there with Team 8. What are you going out as? You're doing logistics still, Bracey? Look forward to hearing what you get out there. All right. I'm going to spend a little time to try and nail down where this La Panza camera is, because I want to get a little better info there. So I'm going to find my webcams. All right, here's La Panza. All right, it's more like it. Okay, there's our comm tower. Bearing line, 102 degrees. All right, so that's a little more like what we're thinking, I think. Let's turn back on our fire activity. Right. Yeah, so compass shot off the webcam at La Panza and off McKittrick shows that the fire didn't really move that much farther north than what it was showing at about 3 p.m. on this heat satellite. So it's still kind of, they got some roads to work with out here as far as firing. And the winds right now are tending to come from the north. So let's look a little at the wind plots here. Look at the winds now. Winds are pushing south. It's good. And they're saying 6 hours from now. What are they going to do? 6 hours from now, they're pushing a little bit more from the east. And tomorrow morning, squirrely, they're pushing back. So for now, the winds are favorable for the fire not to spread north. But and if they get this kind of tied up, a lot of this flank is fairly well protected now from the fire getting pushed that way tomorrow. These winds 12 hours from now are favorable for them to fire the road across the south here. And they're favorable in 6 hours too, according to lists. But look at how squirrely that is. They're all over the place. It's really hard for people to, like in a landscape like this where so much is going on. You know, we saw what the winds did today. That's the problem with these really large fires is that it might take you hours to fire a specific section of line, and you might get 3 different winds during that time. So once you put fire on the ground, you own it. And but firing is how we put out big fires. So people have to make really difficult calls who are managing these operations, and we try hard not to second guess operational decisions. It's really, the people on the ground have the best intel. They don't need an infrared satellite to tell them where the fire is because they're standing at it. Someone is asking how many acres we think the fire is, and it's probably fairly close to what they're releasing, I think, which was at around 70,000. Let's see. Highly not. This map does not meet national map accuracy standards. Yeah, I'm getting about 73,000 acres. As we said, if they fire down to the road system here, it'll be closer to 100,000. And they've got to do that kind of balancing act of keeping the fire as small as they can while taking the tactical opportunities that they are presented with. All right, Bracey Supply Unit. So Anthony Bracey's on here. He's a longtime Lookout fan and going out on this federal team to help make sure these people get what they want. Thanks, brother. I'm trying to think what else. So outlooks kind of for the next week. Outlooks for SoCal are fairly low risk, meaning there's not like significant wind events, lightning, other conditions that are like red flags or extra concerning. If you're interested in what's going on in Northern California, check out, we did a Northern California video today about the lightning fires we're having. And make sure you check out the Lookout, our website. Check out our sponsors. We've got a lot of good kind of background information on fire behavior. Lookout.org. We got fire behavior. We got try to post as much as we can about our current assignments. There's a lot of stuff on there. So check it out, and if you really like what we're doing, shoot me some coin, because this is my job now. You can become a subscriber through PayPal, and that helps us out, helps us keep the lights on and pay for our software and everything. Thanks, everyone. Happy 4th of July.